Hi, everyone, and welcome to CaringKind Live. My name is Chris Doucette. I am your host today. Today is Wednesday, September 23rd at 1 o'clock in the afternoon in New York City. It's a beautiful autumn day here in New York City. I hope it's beautiful where you are. We are broadcasting live from CaringKind Studio, promoting Walk, as you can see. We are promoting Walk on this live stream and also having a great conversation with a couple of folks from the 80th Street residents. So please, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, thank you so much. Please like us, subscribe to us, and make comments as much as you want and as much as you can. The more that you interact with our social media, the more you amplify our message, and the more our message gets into the hands of the people who need us most. And that is, of course, families affected by Alzheimer's and dementia. One thing that I should tell you up front is that this conversation that I'm having today with Lindsay and Jackie at the 80th Street residence was pre-recorded because it turns out they have programs on Wednesdays at 1 o'clock and they couldn't do the live stream portion. So because I'm a nice guy, I decided to pre-record that conversation with them, and they're absolutely delightful. The residents at the 80th Street residence are in very good hands, clearly. So I'm just going to do a couple of quick CaringKind highlights, and then we're going to go right into that conversation with Jackie and Lindsay. So in case you missed it before, my name is Chris Doucette. I'm the Director of Community Engagement. Thank you so much for being here. And what we're going to do next is CaringKind highlights. Before we get into the highlights, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to just hit that comment button, and you can and ask me a question while you're seeing me. Once the interview is broadcasting, you can still make a comment, and I will monitor the comments as we go through that conversation. So let's get right into the CaringKind highlights. First one up is, of course, the Gala. And the Gala is coming up on, let me see, whoops. Here we go. We're getting there. There we go. There's the Gala. So the Gala is on October 26th. If you want to attend the Gala, it is a virtual Gala this year. You don't have to be, I want to show my hat some more. You don't have to be here in New York City. I think I'm crooked. There we go. You don't have to be in New York City to attend this Gala. It is virtual. So if you're interested in joining the Gala, please register at our helpline, and the website and phone number for our helpline are in the show description in this video. So if you're on YouTube or Facebook, then just click on the See More option and see all of the links in our video. All of the links from our social media to our helpline, to register for the Gala, register for the Walk, and our conversation with Lindsay and Jackie at the 80th Street residence, all of those things are in the show description of this video. Okay, so that is our Gala. Check that out. The lineup, as you can see, has been set. The videos are in production, and it's going to be a super fun night. And the next thing I want to talk to you about is our Walk. The Walk is Sunday. Hello. The Sunday, October 11th, we are going to be, we have a bunch of plans for the Walk. It's going to start at 9:30 in the morning with a 15-minute session of yoga with Avita Bansi. Thank you, Avita. And then we're going to take a 15-minute break and start our opening ceremony at 10 o'clock. And at 10:20 to 10:25, we are going to cut the ribbon, and we're going to ask you to walk in your community, walk in your neighborhood safely, wear a mask, wear your orange walk shirt. I left mine at work, so that's why I've got the cap on today. And walk in your neighborhood. And if you see someone else wearing an orange walk shirt, make sure you wave, say hi, introduce yourselves. And then you're going to come back to your home or wherever you may be, get back on the internet. And from 1 to 3 o'clock, we have 3 major programs. Number 1, virtual tables with our staff, sponsors, and tech expo vendors. Number 2, we have a panel discussion on caregiving and COVID-19, moderated by our very own Ann Wyatt. And it's going to be a terrific conversation. And we're closing the Walk this year with something very special. It is David Hyde Pierce and his Broadway friends are singing songs of gratitude to show their gratitude and our gratitude for everyone who is making our walk this year such a big success. And it really is successful so far. We are already at $230,000. We're almost to the halfway point of our $500,000 goal. So please, this is a great time to mention that what's great about the walk is that there is no minimum fundraising requirement. So you can raise $1, $5, $10, $25. You don't have to reach a minimum in order to participate. We encourage you, when you register for the walk, the system will automatically create a fundraising page for you, and we ask that you promote that page. Send it to your social media networks. Post it on Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and all that jazz. Call your friends and send the link in an email to your friends, your family, and your colleagues. That's really important. It's important for two reasons. Number one, you never know who might support you with a gift, which is fantastic. This is about fundraising, but it's also about raising awareness. We want people to learn about CaringKind, and we want them to learn about Alzheimer's and dementia caregiving. So the walk is really great because it is a free way to a no-cost way for everyone to be involved at any giving level. Whether you fundraise $0 or $100,000, the work still needs to be done. So please help us out. Register for the walk. And of course, that link is in the show description of this video, cknyc.org/walk. Register for the walk. Send out your link and ask people to support your page and the walk this year with a gift. But even if they don't support, that's okay too, because you're helping promote the organization and Alzheimer's and dementia caregiving. Thank you so much for that. I'm also going to show you something real quick. It's a new announcement, something that we just launched. One of the most popular elements of the walk every year is our memory wall. And our memory wall looks a little, I just froze there for a second. Our memory wall looks a little like this. And this is, there we go. Sorry about that. Our memory wall, in the past, when you go to our memory wall in person, you will usually see a memory wall in person is like 7 feet tall, it's 4 feet wide, and you can leave a memory for a loved one who you want to memorialize on the day of the walk. Now, obviously, we can't get together in person this year, so we don't have an in-person memory wall this year. But we do have an alternative. What we have this year is a digital memory wall. That's right. So, and you're looking at it right now. The first 3 photos are photos of our memory wall that we had last year. But if you keep scrolling down, you will see new memories that people are posting. And the great thing about the memory wall is that you can post in a bunch of different ways. You can post from your Instagram account, your Twitter account, and Facebook account. And you can simply send us your memory and we'll post it for you. And all of your posts will appear here on this wall. And you can simply write a message by typing on your computer. You can upload a photograph of a loved one, or you can handwrite like on this option right here. I don't know if I can point to that. If you can see my mouse, you can handwrite a note, take a picture of it, and also post it on the memory wall. All you have to do is follow these instructions right here at the very top. And these instructions, let's see if I can show it to you. These instructions show you how to do it. Via Twitter and Instagram, just hashtag a photo, add a hashtag to a photo, and the hashtag is CaringKind Memory Wall. And you'll read that right here. CaringKind Memory Wall, and that photo will automatically link to our digital memory wall here on the website. And the same thing for Instagram, just add a hashtag CaringKind Memory Wall, and it will also appear on the website. Via Facebook, what you need to do is go to CaringKind's Facebook page, which is right here, facebook.com/CaringKindNYC, and then just create a post and place it on our timeline with the hashtag CaringKind Memory Wall, and your post will also appear on this wall. And of course, if you can't post from social media, because maybe you don't have a Twitter account or Instagram or Facebook, that's fine. Just go right here to our Memory Wall website, which is CaringKind. Did you see it? Yeah. CaringKindNYC.org/memorywall. Also on the Memory Wall is also on our on the See More section of the show description, and all the instructions are right here on the main page, and you can memorialize a loved one for this year's walk. And what's great about this Memory Wall, and we'll move right on to the interview, is that the Memory Wall is up right now. Usually, you only have one day to memorialize someone at our walk. This year, you're going to have almost 30 days to memorialize someone. You can post your images, post your memories, post your messages today at CaringKindNYC.org/memorywall. And again, that link is in the show description of this video. And you can add your memory to the 2020 CaringKind Alzheimer's Walk. Thank you. And there it is right there. Thank you so very much for being a part of our community. Thank you for walking with us in 2020. So that is it for our CaringKind updates today. I see that we've got a comment. Let's see who's talking to me. Oh, excellent. Hey, it's Rick Wolf. Hey, Rick, thank you so much. I'm glad that you found that helpful. The Memory Wall is something I'm really proud of because we were looking for the right platform for the Memory Wall in something that was really useful and meaningful to people. And I think that we found it with this Memory Wall that I just shared. So check it out. If you have any questions, absolutely email me at walk@cknyc.org or my email address right here, which is cdoucette@cknyc.org. So there you go. I feel like my orange is clashing because my orange shirt and this hat is kind of a clashing orange, but you can never have too much orange, right? So that is it for, my phone is ringing, sorry. That is it for CaringKind highlights. Next up, we are going to go right into our interview with a couple of folks from the 80th Street residents. Again, this was pre-recorded, so you won't be able to interact with Jackie and Lindsay. But if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I will make sure that Jackie and Lindsay see them and they respond to you if you leave some contact information. So without further ado, let me open up this video, and if you have any comments, I will be monitoring comments as the conversation progresses. So thank you very much, and enjoy this conversation with myself, Jackie, and Lindsay. And here we go. Thanks.
Jackie and Lindsay, welcome to the live stream.
Thank you for having us. We're excited to be here. Very excited.
Good. I'm so glad you're doing a black and white thing. You look great. You've got a divider. You're very safe.
Yes.
You guys know what you're doing.
We're trying, we make it up as we go along. So
I think that's everyone's motto this year. 2020, just make it up until you get to the next year.
Absolutely.
Great. So why don't you introduce yourselves and introduce the 80th Street residents? Where are you located in the world, and what do you do?
Absolutely. So I'm Lindsay Harbison. I'm the Assistant Executive Director at the 80th Street Residence. We are an assisted living residence that is located on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. We have been actually open since 1999, so we're over 2 decades into this field. I personally haven't been here for 2 decades, but I have been here for 13 years, so a decade plus. We are the only assisted living facility in New York City that is entirely devoted to cognitive impairment care. So we're very unique. Everybody that's here, some form of cognitive impairment. We really encourage encourage our residents to maintain their independence, their freedom of choice. We really truly take that step to meet them where they are each and every day. And we recognize that no two residents are the same. And that is really where Jackie comes in. I will let her introduce herself and tell you guys a little bit about her and what she does here.
Hi, I'm Jackie Liebau. I'm the Recreation Director at 80th Street Residence. I've been here for almost 4 years. And like Lindsay said, it is such a unique place. And I really, every single day, every moment, I'm learning something new. Our residents, you know, they're in a range of the disease, and it's really interesting how everybody's so different, and coming to the residents with a very like strength-based approach and trying to figure out how to engage and keep a really beautiful quality of life for every single resident is what I strive, and my department really strives it to meet and focus on. And while also just really promoting this awesome New York City lifestyle. So through CaringKind and many different things, we're really able to keep their quality of life at an amazing level. Yes.
That's amazing. Good for you. That sounds incredible. But also, I have to say, a little overwhelming. You know, I'm familiar with a lot of assisted living facilities that have maybe a dementia floor, where you know, not everyone has some kind of cognitive impairment. Can you talk about a little bit about how that changes your work as opposed to a regular nursing home when everyone has some form of cognitive decline?
Absolutely. So I would say that we usually have about 70 residents here. The way that the building is actually set up is so that each floor is really considered its own kind of neighborhood or household approach. So there's only 8 to 10 residents residing on each floor being staffed 24 hours a day. And part of what we do is upon initial intake and, you know, pre-admission assessments, there's a lot of work. We go into it looking at, okay, this is who this individual is now. These are the challenges that are happening. But this, just as important, is who this individual was and what were things that they enjoyed doing. What were things that, you know, they really disliked. Did they dislike broccoli? Okay, let's make sure if we're having dinner, we're not giving them broccoli. It could be a trigger. You know, it's really important to look at who the individual is. And I think that one of the things that is, you know, makes it less overwhelming. Yes, it's a community that's entirely devoted to dementia care, but when you break it down into those smaller groups of 8 to 10 people, you really are able to really encourage each and every person's interests as well as meeting their needs. I think for us as a community, we're very involved in the day-to-day with the residents and really looking at each person and making sure we're doing the best we possibly can. Makes it more manageable for all of us. Yes. And also just bringing them happiness every day. You know, look at each person on a day-by-day basis. We can't look at next week or 2 weeks. Let's worry about today and what happens, you know, when we get in.
Exactly.
So.
How do you get to know your residents about their likes and dislikes? Obviously, family is a great way to find out the history of a person, but I'm sure you don't always get a complete dossier on someone who enters your facility. How do you do that?
So part of what we do before somebody comes into the community is we do pre-admission assessments, obviously, which is very common in a lot of residential care facilities. But for us, especially since we're dealing with residents who have cognitive impairment, we are very involved with the families. We get them meeting all of the department heads. We do some interviews with them. We ask them to be completely honest, give us the good, the bad, the ugly. And it's interesting because I think even though we gather all of this information ahead of time, it's not until we're in this environment that we really get a more accurate picture, I think, of what a day is going to look like for somebody. So Jackie, I'm sure you can share, especially about activities programs.
I mean, I think one of the first things I realized when I came to 80th Street is the family involvement is so important here. And it really brings kind of this other level of connection for the residents and the staff here. But once the resident is here, you can learn a lot just through a one-to-one conversation, even if you're just starting with music and you're listening to a song that you know they like, you might think they would like, and just start conversation there. Our activities cover a wide range of topics, and body language is something really, important for our residents, and observation. So we learn a lot through that. A lot of residents, I also feel like, have, once they're settled, there's this kind of ease and comfort, and they'll share a little more, sometimes we call it covering up, or they've been in such a state of stress that they haven't been able to express themselves. So we kind of see this very beautiful transition, not all the time, but to this sense of comfort and ability to express themselves, talk about their life, their legacy. And it's a really humbling thing to do daily.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. I mean, and you really get to know a person because you're really thinking about them, and you're thinking about their past and their likes and dislikes. That sounds amazing. And so how have you adjusted to this new COVID-19? Have to ask.
Yes.
Everyone's kind of tired of the topic, but it is everyone's life right now. So how have you adjusted to COVID-19 and the consequences of everything?
So I would say from an operational point of view, we are a licensed facility. So, we've been seeing a lot of news about, some of the regulations, the mandates. They have certainly been difficult. I know we all understand that first and foremost is resident safety, staff safety, and wellness. And we have been able to implement a lot of the changes that were required. We are still currently, staff has to be tested every week. We have recently opened back up to visitation for our families, and they have been honestly phenomenal at, helping us make it work, keeping everybody safe, keeping them safe. And I think that as we started out, before we went live, we were saying kind of rolling with the punches and just seeing what's going to happen every day. And I think that we've got the wellness piece down. We've got, that sanitation piece down. We're actually not in a split screen, but a divider here. So Jackie and I can be together and be safe and not have to wear our masks while we're talking to you guys. But I think that has been the easier part of transitioning. I think Jackie and her team have really worked so hard on transforming the programs, because a big part of the residents' lives are their identity to New York City, and being on lockdown and not able to get out into that city has been detrimental for so many adults and people, living in their apartments. If you want to maybe tell a little bit about how you guys have transformed everything.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just, I've been blown away by how, quickly we kind of had to shift everything, including the wellness aspect. But I think really quickly we saw how everything started to change really fast, and you could see the impact on every single level of health, whether it's mental health, physical health, emotional, spiritual. And I think we all felt it. Like there was I felt the sense of urgency to do something quickly. We know isolation is already a big factor for the elderly population, and then add a cognitive impairment on top. It makes just, a huge difference. So really quickly, it's been technology. I feel blessed that I'm at a place where I could utilize and get the technology we needed. So being able to stream the San Diego Zoo and look at animals from around the world, or take a virtual trip to the Met or the Louvre. Connect to Culture, we do these really awesome Intrepid programs. So having gentlemen who were in the Navy and the Army get to see the Intrepid and hear stories and connect. The families, like we've talked about, are a huge part of our community, and something I also felt very quickly and very strongly about was keeping them involved as much as possible. So FaceTimes are really important. We started a sign up where the families can sign up throughout the week. Zoom calls, doing joint Zoom programming with outside vendors and having the families call in. So really just utilizing, it has been technology, and it's been tough, but so many beautiful things have also come out of a really tough time.
And I think, you know, to piggyback on that, a lot of the people that we have worked with in the past that used to come here,
Yes.
you know, weekly or several times a week to do music therapy, to do reading with the residents. There's a great intergenerational program that we do. The students were some of the first ones to get on and say, let's do it Zoom, let's do it FaceTime, I still want to read with Lindsay, you know, let's get something set up. And so it's really been a wonderful, supportive community outside of these walls as well. And it's really been a beautiful thing to see.
And just how everybody's come together. So, you know, looking at the intergenerational and how the younger generation is able to help in ways that we never really expected, especially virtual for the older population, and music therapy. And just, it's been amazing.
Yeah. Is there one story that stands out to you? Like when you think about all the things that have happened, there's often like one magical moment that most people can think back on. Can you think of one of those moments for you where
I think that
you think something really great happened for someone?
With Eric.
Yes.
He goes around the room.
So, so Lindsay and I just, you know, there's many moments, but so we had this music therapist coming in prior to COVID, and quickly we're like, let's do Zoom. He has a space in his apartment set up, and he's very just engaging, and he does group sessions as well as one-to-one sessions. But early on, we were doing a session on the 3rd floor, and he's just like in this little screen of a laptop. But he goes around every morning and does a good morning song to everybody before we even start. He was singing good morning to all the care managers, to the residents. We're all distanced, but like everybody was dancing. And everybody was laughing, and our care managers were in their PPE, and it was somewhat bizarre, but you just felt this total sense of joy and happiness. And the fact that that can be done through a screen is incredible.
Yes.
So I think that's definitely a moment. And then we started using these EverSound devices. Do you want to explain what they are?
You use them more than I do, so you go ahead.
So they're these noise amplifying headsets. They're wireless, which is great. And each headset, you can adjust the volume, but they also connect to one, it's somewhat confusing, one transmitter. But everybody, we could have 10 residents spaced out and listening to music, and it's kind of like a silent disco. Everybody has the sound right in their ear. Because they're wireless, we've been able to use them for window visits. We've also been doing window visits, and we're on the noisy streets of New York. You never know what's going to roll down the street. But
I have construction right up above my head.
We can get you a set.
I love it.
But you know, the family members can have one, the resident can have one, and it sounds like the person is right next to you. There's a little microphone you can wear, so we know with different impairments, kind of enunciating or your language, the barriers can be quite difficult.
And you can adjust the volume, right? So like for some part of hearing people, some are not. So no one's being blasted out.
Yes. And there's like 4 different levels. So just seeing residents, their faces light up when they hear their family members speak to them so clearly, is just priceless.
Yeah. Now you are the recipients of an award, correct?
Yeah.
I heard, I did a little research and found out that you guys won an award for some of the work that you've done around your residents and social isolation. Can you talk about who headed that up and who gets the credit? Everyone does, I'm sure, but like what happened? How did that happen?
Someone wrote me a very nice nomination.
So every year there is National Assisted Living Week, which is actually right now. And so one of our associations, the Empire State Association of Assisted Living, they're an amazing organization for licensed facilities. They're advocates for our communities. And they sent out this blast, nominate somebody who really stands out as an all-star. And so I had nominated Jackie, especially for all the work that she did with lockdown and keeping all of our residents really truly engaged in things that they love, and really navigating this really difficult time. And Jackie actually was one of 11 recipients in the state. So we're very, very, very excited.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And it's really wonderful to see something positive coming out of such a hard time in New York City and in the world, and just seeing some of the good things being rewarded and highlighted, because I think every day it gets challenging, it's been a very hard time for everybody. And so to shine the light on something positive, we're so thrilled to have it shine on Jackie, because can't imagine anybody else who would really deserve something like that.
I told you, she's so sweet.
That's,
Sometimes.
yeah. I'm going to have to talk to my boss about what awards I got nominated for. I want to know what's happening there. Congratulations. That's amazing. That's a real honor. And it speaks so, well of you that, that you have a colleague who supports you in that way. In all of the work that you've done, we've made temporary changes for COVID-19, but some of those changes, will be permanent. For you, what is your experience? What do you think is going to come out of this this moment that you will incorporate permanently as part of your management of the organization, but also recreationally, the way that you interact with your residents?
Do you want to take the recreation piece? Sure. Okay. I remember talking early on with another music vendor and thinking, how would we adapt into technology where, a lot of our residents kind of did not grow up into much of a tech-friendly world, and they would just see these faces on the TV, and how weird this engagement is probably going to be. And it really has not been that way. And being able to provide even more, we've been able to provide more engagement to a certain extent, because we have more flexibility with location, with people's hours. If residents are spaced out, it's allowed us to move in a more flexible manner. I also think some residents don't like being in a group setting, and it can be very noisy and overstimulating, just the comings and goings of people. So being able to provide even extra one-to-one programming, I can set up something in their room for them where somebody is engaging with them through discussion or reading. So it's just a whole different facet of engagement that I think even if we can go back to having people come into the building, these options are not going to stop. If anything, they're just going to add on to what we used to have.
Yeah. And I think, from an organizational, standpoint, I think one of the things that we've really learned, we've always felt it was so important to take care of our staff. You cannot be a good caregiver if you are not taking care of yourself. And, in the early days when all of this was happening and everything was really shutting down, mass transit was affected greatly. We have staff here 24 hours a day. So we have some people who are, coming in at 10:30 at night and leaving early in the morning. And so what we did to take care of our staff, we hired our driver, to be here around the clock, go and pick them up and bring them to work and bring them home so they don't have to take mass transit if they don't feel safe. If they felt safer taking an Uber, we were getting them the Ubers. We wanted to take care of our staff above and beyond what we normally would do, because it is such a frightening time. And everybody needs, a hug when we can't give a hug. So let's think of other hugs we can give. And I think that's something, that we're going to continue to do no matter what the situation is. How can we really take care of our staff from top to bottom and make sure that they're just as well taken care of as the residents? Definitely.
Yeah, that's great to hear. We've got to wrap up in a minute, but before we do, what are, not everyone can have a place to stay at the 80th Street residence. So when you meet a caregiver or a family who's got a person in their family with Alzheimer's, dementia, cognitive decline, what advice do you give them?
So I think one of the main questions that I get asked a lot is, well, when do we make the move? And it's important for me to always explain to people who are calling, yes, we would love to take care of your loved one, but community living is not for everybody, as Jackie had kind of alluded to a little bit. I think one of the major things is you need to look at your current situation. If you have home care coming in, is this person the right fit for your loved one? Just because they were for the past year, we may be in a different place and they may not be the right fit anymore. I think it's really important to explore all options. And I think especially when dealing with dementia, you know, we're planners.
Right.
A lot of people want to plan, they want to know what they're doing. And when dealing with dementia, it's very difficult to make a plan. So I think that if you can really kind of focus on a short term, you know, whether it's a week, a month, 6 months, and just try to understand, you may have to adapt what your plan is. And also don't be shy, reach out. There's so many resources for the caregivers. There's training. CaringKind has always been a wonderful organization that provides so much for the caregivers, for the families, and even for the individuals who have early stage dementia. You know, don't be shy, reach out for help. I think that's the most important thing you can tell somebody.
Very well said.
Yeah, that's great. And how do people reach you? What's the best way for people to reach the 80th Street residents?
Best way to reach us, you know, you can always call us. Phone number here is 212-717-8888. You can go on our website page, which is www.80thstreetresidents.com. And on there, you can actually send us an email directly. So you can always go to our website, hit contact us, and you can send me a note. And yeah, Facebook, we're there, you know. Yep. But I would say calling. There's always somebody answering the phone 24 hours a day. So
that's good to know. Lindsay Harbison and Jackie Liebau, thank you so much. Or Liebau. Did I say Liebau?
You said it right.
Oh, I said it right. Oh,
yes.
Man.
You did it.
Thank you for having us today. This is fantastic. This was really great.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations to your award, Jackie, for the work that you do. And of course, that's a team effort, really. So congratulations to you both. And thank you for the service that you provide for people up there on the Upper East Side of New York City. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
There we go. And that was my conversation with the very charming Lindsay and Jackie from the 80th Street residents on the east side of Manhattan. Next week, tune in for our conversation with Melissa Sheehan, who is going to be talking to us about 305 West End, which is on the west side of Manhattan, 305 West End assisted living. And so, so we're doing kind of a east versus west live stream back to back. So that's going to be really interesting. Melissa is lovely, as is, of course, Lindsay and Jackie. So thank you so very much for tuning in to my conversation with Jackie and Lindsay. And thank you for tuning in today to the live stream. Don't forget that the walk is October 11th. Please register for the walk. Oh, let me get there. Let me get that on. Please register for the walk, and don't forget that our helpline is always available to you to register for the walk, to register for the gala, to register for anything that we do. Please call the helpline 646-744-2900, or you can send them an email. The email is right below. The links to the 80th Street residents and their phone number is in the show description of this video. So if you're on YouTube and Facebook, please just click see more, and it will expand all of the links that we have for you based on this conversation today. And if you're tuning in if you're watching this as a rebroadcast, maybe it's a few weeks in the future or a few months or 100 years in the future. Thank you so much for watching. Tune in to the live stream every Wednesday, 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I broadcast right here from CaringKind's official studio, which is my studio apartment in Queens. Thank you very much, and we will see you next Wednesday.